Hey, welcome to day 5 of the 5-day writing challenge. And today we're talking about perfectionism. So I thought, because perfectionism is such a big thing for so many people, me included, today I would show up and reveal, the real me. So this is me, no makeup. Don't know how different I look. I probably do look a lot different, a bit more IE and stuff like that. Because there's something about having to sort of show our best face to the world, the shine that we put on everything, the need to be perfect that actually really stops people in their tracks from doing anything. This applies to lots of different things. If you're kind of an entrepreneur, like doing a challenge like this, or doing your own courses, or just being out there on social media, or in any kind of job, it might mean about not going for the promotion that you want to go for, or if you're a mum, kind of constantly sort of second guessing your mothering abilities. And in writing, it shows up as well, this perfectionism. From what I've seen, it shows people from getting started. It shows up when people get started because this need to get it right and get it perfect. There's that discord between actually what's showing up on the page and what you think it should be like, because what's coming out isn't as good as what you think it should be, isn't perfect. You stop writing. We don't even write at all. Or quite often, maybe people are kind of halfway through or midway through a writing project, and it's just not going the way that they thought it would. It's not as good as they expected it to be from their very high standards, particularly if you are like a type A personality type, or you're really good in other areas, and suddenly when you're writing, it's kind of like, you're playing catch up, or so you feel. Because it's not perfect, you give up. Or even it's that whole feeling of like, you're wanting to write something, whether it's a blog post, a poem, or a book, or something in between, a script or whatever. And there's the expectation that the first time that you write it, it needs to be perfect. The first time that you write anything, that you're going to get it exactly, correctly down, and it's very kind of linear, ordered, correct format. And because what's showing up isn't like that, i.e. isn't your final polished draft, which you're expecting it to be first time round, you're dismissing it. Perfectionism shows up as that little voice on your shoulder that's constantly telling you that what you're writing isn't good enough, and so what's the point? So I just wanted to reframe that today, because perfectionism isn't about putting on the made-up face and showing up with the perfect videos and being the perfect person. It's the person that shows up and just reveals themselves, the authentic self, and that self is enough. We don't need, here we go, to the lights. We don't need the glitz and the glamour. People aren't necessarily drawn to the facade. They're drawn to you. The real you is what's going to pull people to your writing and to your work. So it's not about making it perfect and glossy. It's just about being you on the page and showing up as you, and knowing that people are interested in you and will want to come through. But it's also about understanding the creative process. The creative process itself isn't neat and ordered. The creative process is like a child at play with crayons and colour and squiggles and dancing and mess and noise. That's the creative process. And it's a really exciting and liberating process. When was the last time that you really just played and allowed yourself to be messy and to be creative without any judgment or without any kind of focus or expectation of what it was going to bring you? You just enjoyed the process, because this is what writing a first draft is. And I'm going to use the term first draft because whenever you write anything, it's going to take a draft format. The first draft is the messy, creative, disordered, chaotic, kind of bringing it down from wherever it comes from or from within you onto the page. And if you try to make that first draft perfect, then you are interfering and stopping and thwarting the actual creative process. You know, in the mess of creation of a first draft, you're very likely to take lots of wrong turns, dead ends, mistakes with your writing. And that's the whole point, because you're not getting it down. If you try to get it down in a really linear fashion, then you're not allowing yourself to go down those kind of like red herring roads. And even if that red herring road is 99% a dead end, there could be 1% in that avenue that actually is going to influence the rest of your book. But if you try to force it down perfectly the way that you wanted it to go, then you're missing out the periphery of your creativity and what it can bring in and add to your writing. So your first draft is often called the download draft. It's also called the crappy or the shitty first draft, because it's meant to be a mess on the page. I know with the book that I'm writing at the moment, it's really hard for me to make it messy, because I am a perfectionist and my habit is to keep correcting what I've written and keep rewriting it until I think it's right. And so for me, it is a constant challenge to make sure that my perfectionist side has to take a back seat whilst I'm writing my first draft, and allow my creative side to take the forefront. A lot of it is about trust and allowing and permission and play and childlike energy, and just sort of accepting that what you're writing first time round doesn't have to be the thing which is going to be produced into the world. It's the thing which you're just creating right now in your shitty first draft, whether that's a blog post or whatever. And then once you've got your first draft, which might be kind of like this kind of like cotton ball wool-esque of kind of everything, and it's kind of all over the place, then you can start to apply your structured, ordered, kind of like left brain thinking to it. And then you can start to chip away at it like an ice sculpture, and then create something which is presentable to the world. But if you try to do that editing kind of perfectionist process during the writing of it, then you've just got two diametric energies kind of like clashing with each other, and neither one is going to win. Okay, so first draft, let the creativity rule, let the imperfection rule, and then the second draft, you can get your perfectionist head on and start to kind of do it properly. And just know when you're writing it, final thought, that none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect all of the time. We have moments of perfection, I'm sure, but we are who we are. We're human beings. And in that kind of state of just accepting who we are what I call imperfectly perfect. And your writing is going to be imperfectly perfect as well, if you just give it some breathing space on the first draft, some time, and just permission to yourself to write shittily. And then afterwards you can get your scissors out and start editing and cutting to your heart's content. But if anything from these 5 days, I just want you to get that creativity is a living, breathing thing, and you've got to give it space to do what it wants, because actually it's a beautiful space to be in. And I think it's a space of real treasure and gold dust and magic. So be in it, enjoy it, get the judgment out, and just allow yourself to run free on the page. Finally, don't forget we've got the masterclass tonight. So look forward to seeing you there. We're going to do some really special exercises just to cement this week and give you like a lovely plan of action to go forward, so you can keep up the momentum of the challenge. So I really hope to see you there, and give me your feedback and thoughts about your perfectionist self in the Facebook group. And yes, it's been a pleasure. Bye from me being imperfect to you being imperfect, but we love each other just the way that we are. See ya.